This is part 2 of my 10 tunes you must know series. Now, anybody who is learning to play jazz violin will probably at some point have to get a repertoire of tunes together. It's super important at some point in your learning journey to be able to actually play with other people. And it's often said that learning your first 10 tunes will get you set up really well for the next 100 tunes. It might feel like a little bit daunting to be able to play 10 tunes from memory, knowing the melody, knowing the chords, being able to improvise over it when you're first starting out, but I promise you, once you've got those 10 tunes down, the rest of them are so much easier, because there's a bunch of stuff that you're going to learn from those first 10 tunes that you're going to apply to all the other tunes that you work on later on. As you progress, as you learn tune number 11, you're going to be so used to the process of internalizing melody and internalizing harmony and understanding improv around these two pretty big subjects. It's just going to make you much quicker at learning all those next tunes. We want to be trying to get away as early as possible from theory books and just videos like this one online and just actually playing with other people and you playing actual music. Before I carry on, if you are interested in going a little bit deeper in your learning with me, then I have an account on something called Skool. It's a great community-driven platform. It's sort of like social media for learning. It's a place that we can chat to each other, we can share things that we're into, share things that we're working on, ask questions, ask myself questions, ask the group questions. It's also a place where you can join my weekly and monthly live sessions. And lastly, it's a place where you can take courses that I've put together. And one of those courses is all based around these 10 tunes that we're talking about in these videos. It's called 10 Tunes You Must Know. It's available to buy for a one-off price, or it's available for anybody who is subscribed as a paying member on my Skool account. Enough of that. In the last video, we spoke about the first 5 of these 10 tunes. It was Honeysuckle Rose, Minor Swing, I Can't Give You Anything But Love, Autumn Leaves, and All of Me. Now, those tunes have so much in them. You could spend years just working on those tunes and find new ways to play around with them if you wanted to. However, we're going to move on to the next 5 tunes. And if we can get to the point where we can play all of these 10, I promise you life is going to get a lot easier when it comes to playing with other people, being able to improvise freely, being able to learn a bunch more songs. So, number 6 is I Got Rhythm. Now, I Got Rhythm was composed by George Gershwin. It's a song that has been used by thousands, and I mean thousands of jazz musicians to create other songs. We often call the changes to I Got Rhythm the rhythm changes. Generally, when we play rhythm changes, it's a 32-bar sequence, but I Got Rhythm has got a little extra tag at the end that it's important to sort of know, just in case anybody does call the original changes. Other songs like Anthropology by Charlie Parker or Oleo by Sonny Rollins, they're based on the changes of this song, and there's a lot of Django Reinhardt tunes that are based on the changes of this tune as well. If you can play over a rhythm changes or I Got Rhythm, then you're going to be able to play with any, and I do mean any, jazz musician, I promise you. It's a bunch of fast-moving changes, all based around 1, 6, 2, 5. There are different permutations of these changes and different reharmonizations of these changes that musicians might choose to use at certain points when they're playing. But in essence, that's the main bulk of this song. The B section is a string of dominant chords going around from the 3rd. So if we're in B flat, which we often are, we've got D7, G7, C7, which takes us back to chord 1, B flat for the last A section. Being able to play freely over 1, 6, 2, 5, and then these strings of dominant chords is really important when it comes to jazz music. So much of jazz music is based around these changes, and so many songs use these changes in different ways. One tip I always have for people playing over rhythm changes is to try to work on understanding and being able to follow the harmony as much as you can, but then also spending just as much time trying to find ways to not just follow the harmony and not just go in and out of the chords all the time in your improv. We want to be able to create melodies that lie on top of these changes moving very fast. We don't always want to be going. If you spend all your time outlining the changes, it ends up feeling like a little bit of an exercise. So it's important to be able to just play around in the key of B flat major over this song. Number 7, we've got the blues. Now, I think it's so important, and I probably should have put it at the beginning of this set of 10 tunes, but I didn't, so there you go. Blues is something that you could start with, and actually in my Jazz Violin Starter Pack course, which is in my Skool account, that is where we start. We start with the blues. The blues can mean a bunch of different things. It's a sort of style of music, musicians like Muddy Waters, B.B. King. It's also a sort of tonality. The sound of the blues is quite hard to quantify, but to sum it up, it's all based on tension and the sound of sort of major and minor combined in a way. And then there's just the blues sequence, which is a set of changes based around chord 1, chord 4, and chord 5. And in the same way that rhythm changes is very important to be able to play, the blues is something that's very important to play. Often you're on a gig and someone will say, oh, let's just play a blues. And it's important for you to know how to play over that sequence if you want to be a gigging jazz musician. It's also important to know a couple of melodies. Now, the one that I've picked in my 10 Tunes You Must Know course is Billy's Bounce. It's a bebop head written over a blues sequence by Charlie Parker. The reason I picked this one is because it's played over a sort of more complicated set of blues changes, which has 2 5s and 3 6s in it in certain places. And I think it's important for us to be able to play over a sort of what we call a jazz blues. Tune number 8 is There Will Never Be Another You. This is a song that most jazz musicians are going to know as well. Again, it's a lot of the reasons why I'm picking these songs is because they span different styles of jazz. Most old style jazz musicians are at least going to know of this song and know how it goes. Most more straight ahead or modern players are also going to know this one. It's got a lot of moving parts in it in terms of harmony. It starts in the major and then quickly takes us to the relative minor. It's got a moment where 1 becomes the dominant chord, which takes us to the 4, and then that 4 becomes minorized, and then we find our way back to the 1 chord. It's one of these songs from what we call the American Songbook. It's written by Harry Warren, and it was written for a musical, and a lot of jazz standards that we now play come from Broadway, so to speak. What I love about this song is the melody. The melody sits very nicely on top of all of these different chord changes that are sort of taking us a little bit out with the E-flat major scale. But most of the melody, or maybe all of the melody, is just made from the E-flat major scale. It's also just a great one for jazz violinists to be able to play just because it is in E-flat major, and often that doesn't feel very comfortable at the beginning, but after a while of practicing this tune, it will actually teach you a lot about how you can play in E-flat major quite nicely. It just takes a little bit of time and practice. Number 9 on my list is How High the Moon. Now, How High the Moon can feel quite difficult when we're first getting into it. It's again another American Songbook tune, and whilst it is based around the key of G major, it does move into different keys. And it does so in a very clever way. We've got G major to begin with, and then we turn that G major chord into a G minor, which takes us into C7, which then takes us into the key of F major. Then that exact same harmonic movement happens again. We're in F major, then we minorize that F, which takes us nicely to B flat 7, which takes us nicely into E flat major. I think this might be the first tune, or maybe even the only tune in this series that really moves into different keys rather than staying in one set key. It's really good to start getting used to being able to do that. It means that you have to be able to play just as well in G, F and E flat for it to sound like you're actually playing coherently over this tune. Once again, it's a song that most jazz musicians are gonna know, or they will at least know it to hear it, which means you could probably call it with most professional jazz musicians, and they would be able to do some sort of job of playing it with you. The last tune that I've picked for this 10 tunes that you must know is Nuages. Now, it's really the only ballad that I've put into this list, and it's one that perhaps not every jazz musician in the world knows, but it is a beautiful, beautiful ballad. It's by Django Reinhardt, and it's just a good one to maybe get you into the idea of ballad playing. It's got some tricky little moments in it, or it might seem that way, but really it's just based on the idea of tritone substitution. So often we'll play this in the key of G major, and the first set of chords is B flat minor to E flat 7, which then takes us to A minor to D7. Now what's going on there is this. The B flat minor and the E flat 7 are really just a tritone substitution for A7, which would be called 2 as a dominant. E flat 7 shares a lot of the same notes with A7, which is one of the reasons why they can be used instead of each other, basically. E flat is a tritone away from A, so we call this a tritone substitution. It's something that you're going to see so much coming up in jazz as time goes on, and it's just something that you need to start getting used to playing over. A little tip for this is when you see that B flat minor to E flat 7 going to A minor to D7, over the B flat minor and E flat 7, you can play the B flat melodic minor scale and it will sound good. I'm not going to tell you why, because this isn't what this is all about, but I'm just going to say, do it and it'll sound alright. Aside from all this harmonic stuff with Nuages, it's one of the most amazing melodies in the world. When you're practicing improvising over this, it's really important that you try to make your improv as melodic as you possibly can. Because to me, it doesn't really make sense on ballads to be just playing loads of licks and loads of fast notes all the time. It's so important to try to match the melodic content of this tune in your own improvising. It's such a great song, and it's so nice to play over when you get used to playing over these tricky little moments in it. It will teach you a lot about tritone substitutions, but it will also teach you a lot about playing with as much space as possible. Guys, thanks so much for checking this video out. Hopefully it's been helpful for you guys, and hopefully it's given you a decent little start into learning your first 10 tunes as a jazz violinist.